Hello Brawlers and welcome. Today is going to be the next part of our collection overview. Today we're going over our Gundalian Invaders and Mechtanium Surge Bakugan. Our collection from this part of the series is not as big, however, we do have a lot of support pieces and we'll definitely be showing those off as well. Not going to waste too much of your time. Just before we begin, apologies in advance. I might mispronounce some of the names of these Bakugan and Battle Gear and all the other support pieces, just because it's been a little while since I've seen the show. And I know some of them also just were never said in the show. But yes, with all of that out of the way, we're going to start right off with these two Bakugan here. We have a Pyrus and an Aquos Aranaut. We don't have a Haos one, although as you'll see throughout this video, we actually do have the rest of the Brawlers and their correct attributes. But yeah, so Aranaut, these two versions of it were the first Gundalian Invaders Bakugan that we ever had. Kind of ironic, I guess, considering, in the last video it was also a Pyrus and an Aquos Bakugan. But here you go, let's take a closer look. Pyrus Aranaut here. Gundalian Invaders is when you really start seeing, the orange and yellow combo with Pyrus. I think it looks quite nice here. Especially on the chest, the gem core looks very cool. Obviously, we also see a lot of Bakugan who have sort of the flat piece on their back. Because the battle gear goes here. We'll definitely be showing those off. And here's the Aquos version. As you can see, the legs are a little loose, but I quite like the red on these. It's very nice. It, I guess, kind of reminds me of New Vestroya, but there aren't actually that many New Vestroya Bakugan that have red on the Aquos version, at least I think. But yeah, very cool. I like Aranaut's monster form probably more than its ball form, but it is cool. The visor especially was always really cool. Something about him, maybe it is that visor, reminded me of Jazz from Transformers. Let me know in the comments if I'm insane. But yeah. Very cool. Alright, speaking of Bakugan that are actually in their anime-accurate attributes, we have Helix Dragonoid. If I recall correctly, Helix Dragonoid, his monster form is an example of kind of when Dragonoid started moving toward more of a humanoid shape. I don't think this was the first Dragonoid that had the wings separate from the arms. In fact, that might have even been Neo Dragonoid that did that, but, with Helix Dragonoid, he's got very visible arms, and obviously, as you can see, they move. Yeah, very, very interesting looking design. He's very upright compared to, the previous Dragonoids. He's got 850G powers, as you can see there. And yeah, you know what? While we're here, why don't we look at his battle gear? So for Dragonoid, you pull the wings back, and then, there we go. We have Jetkor. This is the silver Jetkor. As you can see, it's quite impressive. Now, this is the translucent version of Jetkor. This is supposed to light up when it opens, but the battery has just run dry and we haven't replaced it. Yeah, you kind of see them in there. But yeah. This is a cool battle gear. I think that, this is, to me, the iconic battle gear. When I think battle gear, I think Jetkor. I don't know what all of you think. You let me know in the comments, but yeah. I quite like it in silver as well. I think it suits it somehow. While we're on the topic of Dragonoids, let's take a look at Lumino Dragonoid. So, Lumino Dragonoid was the evolution of Helix Dragonoid. And this is a BakuMetalix Bakugan. You can see its horns and its feet have this nice, shiny silver color, 900G power. Yeah, I quite like this version of the BakuMetalix. I like the more like shiny chrome kind of color. For comparison, we also own a Ventus Lumino Dragonoid, and this one has the more, I don't know what you call it, not matte color, but just that it's not, you know, chromed out. Doesn't look bad by any means. In fact, I actually think it looks quite good with the Ventus colors, but just kind of a different vibe, I think. So here they are, side by side. Let me know in the comments, actually, which version of BakuMetalix you like better. How about another brawler while we're here? Let's talk about Linehalt. I don't know if you all saw that, but he opened actually before he hit the gate card. This Bakugan is very, very played with. I'm actually going to kind of be a little bit more sensitive with him, just because he's you know, he's seen a lot. His wings out. Yeah. This was Ren's Bakugan from Gundalian Invaders, and I quite like this design. I think Gundalian Invaders goes for a color scheme that I personally don't like as much. For Darkus, they go for more greens and yellows as opposed to purples. But I don't know, Linehalt kind of pulls it off. I think it definitely helps the alien vibe that Gundalian Invaders was going for. Yeah, Linehalt is interesting. He's kind of upright in the same way that, say, like a Helix Dragonoid is, but obviously he's a little bit more human-looking. I don't know if human's the right word, but, you know, he's humanoid. Kind of like a gargoyle kind of creature. I like his horns, too, like the 3 horns with one sort of being on the back. I think is very interesting. And since we have Linehalt out, let's also talk about his battle gear. So same thing, you fold the wings down. Then, Boomix. This is also the silver version of it. Yeah, as you can see, also very impressive. Turn it this way, we'll open this piece. Yeah, this is very cool, very, very weapon looking. You know, there's some battle gear that maybe looks a little bit more like it's a jetpack or, you know, something like that, but this is just a gun. Yeah, 50G power. The old DNA code. For anybody who remembers those, but yeah. I think this is also one of those battle gear that looks kind of cool when you just put it down on its own. Yeah. Also, obviously, very interesting in that it's worn on one side of the Bakugan, so I guess you could say it's kind of asymmetrical in that way. Let's step away from the Brawlers for a second and talk about the 12 orders. We have Haos Lumagrowl right here. It's a little stuck in there, but yeah. This Bakugan is also really cool. You know, you've got the many-tailed kind of vibe over here. I actually quite like Lumagrowl's head as well. This, to me, is another one of those Bakugan that when I think Gundalian Invaders, I think Lumagrowl. I own a lot of the cards that have it on it, but also this Bakugan was packaged with this arena. Yeah, when you know, you get like a little preview window, I guess, into the box, and you can see that there's this little Haos Lumagrowl on it. I'll maybe see if I can pull up a picture of it on screen, but yeah, so we've had this guy kind of forever. Very, very cool Bakugan. Again, I really like the many-tailed kind of thing. And you know, since we're not doing anything in a particular order, let's hop to Mechtanium Surge. Come on. Come on. Yeah, there we go. This is a Darkus Mutant Elfin. Pull the head up to your face. I'm not going to open the feet because the feet on this thing are just locked in, but you can see it's worn out, it's played with, but yeah, so this Bakugan, I'm blanking on the name for this kind of Bakugan. These maybe were Baku Tactics? I don't know. I'll put the name up on screen when I remember. Yeah, so this is Darkus Mutant Elfin. It's cool. It's got a big variety of G-powers that it can be. Anywhere from 600, 650, 700, 850, 900, or 1100. Obviously, this is a Mechtanium Surge Bakugan, so you know you start seeing those really high G powers over here. But yeah, I don't remember if all BakuMutant are like this, but I remembered being very interested if this was like a new kind of heavy metal Bakugan that Mechtanium Surge was doing, because obviously, you know, you can see the bottom half of it is that kind of steely color. But no, it's its own thing. That's cool. I like the yellow eyes, actually. It's kind of interesting that, like, with Mechtanium Surge, the Bakugan tended to just be their primary color and then maybe like a silver. So seeing like a little bit of color like the yellow eyes is kind of unique. Going back to Gundalian Invaders for a second, we do not have the matching Bakugan, but I'd like to just show off this battle gear. Airkor. I love the way this thing opens. This is the copper version of it, as you can see. I don't remember if in the show Airkor was copper or gold, but I really like this version. I think the copper on this is just a nice kind of burst of color. Dust on it, but yes, this gear is probably one of my favorites. Again, I just like the way it opens. Give me 1 second, I'm gonna do that again. Beautiful. Yeah, very much like this battle gear. Let me know what your favorite battle gear is in the comments. Let's do another Gundalian Invaders Brawler and their Bakugan. So first, we have Ventus Hawktor. I know a lot of people who maybe don't like Hawktor that much. They think, like, you know, he's not as cool as shown in this previous two Bakugan. In the show, yeah, he maybe didn't have as much going on, but I actually quite like his design. I think both in ball form and in monster form. Looks very cool. I like the bit of white on the head, actually. I don't know, the green and white, it's kind of cool. And, same thing as before, let's open his wings and show off his battle gear, Swayther. Up the top here, this is the gold version of the battle gear. Again, very large, very in charge. This battle gear is a little bit more like, you know, Jetkor or Airkor, where, you know, it looks a little bit more like a jetpack, I guess, but I guess Swayther's more in between. It's kind of both. It also is, you know, got weapons on it. I mean, you can see the cannons, the spring-loaded little guys over here. It's kind of interesting, I guess, in that way that it is sort of, you know, in between. Swayther is also cool. I don't know why, but just to me, I also like the way it looks when it's closed. Close it up again for you just to show it off. But I don't know, something about it is just, this is a really satisfying shape somehow. Looks very futuristic, very techy, which obviously the battle gear in general were kind of going for that design. At least a good amount of them were. But yeah, I mean, the detail on this is very cool, I think, as well. And you know what, let's continue with the Battle Brawlers Bakugan. We have, if he wants to open, we have Aquos Akwimos. As you can see, I pulled that little tab on its back to open it. So this is a thing that a lot of Gundalian Invaders Bakugan do that always confused me, I guess, is that, you know, a lot of them will have these little tabs on the back. You'll see, this won't be the last one. I guess to kind of help open it, but, you know, it has the unfortunate side effect of making the Bakugan sort of hard to roll, which I don't know, to me, I would rather the Bakugan maybe be a little bit less accurate to its monster form if it was easier to play with. That's just me though. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments, because that was definitely a shift, at least to me, from the first two series, Battle Brawlers and New Vestroya, to Gundalian Invaders and Mechtanium Surges. I think you start seeing maybe more accurate and more detailed ball forms, but they tend to be a little bit harder to play with. Now, that's a whole rant. Talking about Akwimos, I actually do think that this design is very cool. It's very interesting. Obviously, you can see the gaps in sort of the torso, just kind of due to the way it opens. It definitely gives Akwimos a very weird, interesting shape. Kind of the sideways opening feet. You kind of see that on some Gundalian Invaders Bakugan as well. And then, Akwimos looks very weird when you want to put the battle gear on. It doesn't quite, you know, stay all the way down every time, but it looks like, yeah, it's okay, it's behaving this time. So yeah, you put the arms down, like so, and then you attach its battle gear. There we go. Doesn't want to open, so I'm going to open it on the side. Yes. This battle gear is Gigarth. As you can see, it is, yes, very difficult to put on, but yeah, this is gotta be one of the biggest battle gear. I mean, this thing is just, yeah, look at that, like those long claw arms.
Big, meaty claws!
Even in the back, you know, very tall. Yeah, if I didn't say it already, this is the copper version. I quite like it. I think this battle gear is definitely made for Akwimos specifically, like it kind of, you know, the arm extensions kind of take the place of its arms, which fold down. Because this battle gear is actually too big to go on some other Bakugan, like you have to deploy it next to it. Because again, for those who don't know, you can use battle gear even with Bakugan that don't have the pegs on the back for them. You just put the battle gear next to it on the gate card. Yeah, but let me know what you think. This is definitely, I think, one of the weirdest Bakugan and battle gear combos. And how about another Aquos Bakugan while we're here? We have Aquos Lythirus. This was another 12 orders Bakugan. I believe it belonged to Stoica, the show. I quite like Lythirus. It's kind of a pain to close, at least this toy is, but I do like its design. The big lobster claws are cool. We don't have its battle gear, but if you want to deploy it, you fold the claws in and then down, like this. And you would also, you know, pull the tail down. There you go. It's funny, actually. I think this creates quite a different design, like quite a different silhouette. And honestly, I also like the way it looks like this. It looks, I don't know, maybe a little bit more like an old school Bakugan, which, you know, I like. But yeah. Again, red colors on the Aquos Bakugan, I think looks very nice. Yeah. Alright, and though this is a non-partner Bakugan, this might be one of my favorites. We have Darkus Luxtor. Again, we can see kind of the new Darkus colors on this, but again, I think it works fairly well. I don't remember if any important characters use this Bakugan in the show. It may have just been one of the, you know, Bakugan used by the Gundalians and the Nethians when they were fighting. I really like this Bakugan. The way the tail unfolds is just really cool. And I also like its head. I don't know, they went for a very, like, large, round head, and I think it works. Again, this Bakugan is kind of, you know, an exception to the unfortunate rule that seems to happen a lot with Gundalian Invaders Bakugan, where it doesn't really have anything sticking out of it when it when it closes. As you can see, you just fold it all up here, and yeah, I mean, obviously it's got its pattern going along the tail, but you know, nothing sticking out. No tabs, no nothing like that. So it actually rolls really well. And I like that. I think when we, you know, play with our Gundalian Invaders Bakugan, this is definitely one of my favorites. You know, I was going to say that I also do really like the Subterra Luxtor, even though we don't have it, but another Subterra Bakugan that I really like is this right here. I believe this Bakugan's name is pronounced Scaboid. This is a special evolution Bakugan, which means that, you know, you normally can't use it unless you meet certain conditions. But I think just as a figure, like as a roll form, I really, really like this design. It's just like a weird insect thing. I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it's just like this alien creature. I really like it. I think it looks very nice in Subterra. The orange and brown on the outside, and the green. We haven't really seen this in Gundalian Invaders, but I think the green eyes look really cool, and they definitely help that alien vibe. Yeah, just this Bakugan is really cool, and I like that it's also a design that I think, to me at least, more naturally incorporates the battle gear pegs. Like, you don't have to fold something out to open it. It just kind of seems like the Bakugan, you know, wanted to open like this. I really like that. Again, just a really cool design in my opinion. And since we're here already, let's talk about our other special evolution Bakugan. I believe this Bakugan's name is pronounced Olifus. Just open it up here. It's a little bit more difficult to open, but again, this is such a strange alien kind of design. So I do, again, think that the green and the yellow works here, and I love the big red eyes on this Bakugan. But yes, again, another very strong Bakugan, very, you know, it's a special evolution Bakugan. This Bakugan, you do fold the tail down to make room for battle gear, but honestly, I kind of like the way it looks with its tail down. Again, it sort of looks like it's trying to look like this, and I like that. This Bakugan, you know, again, has that kind of strangeness to it that I think maybe more suits needing space for the battle gear. It's very cool. It almost reminds me a little bit of like a Stinglash or a Limulus, where it's sort of like most of the mass is up here, and then you have kind of the long tail. I guess maybe that's a little bit more Limulus than Stinglash, but still, I like it. I like it a lot. Let's talk about another favorite Bakugan, though this one is not, you know, anime accurate or anything like that. We have an Aquos Razenoid. Obviously, this Bakugan was not Aquos in the show, but I do think it looks quite nice in this attribute. This, like Mutant Elfin, has its G-Power randomized, only this one is a wheel. Similar kind of, you know, to the older style like Pyrus and Elfin. But yeah, this is just a very, very cool Bakugan. I think in general, the Mechtanium Surge designs, at least to me, look a little bit less awkward. I think that their, you know, gimmick, their attachment, if you want to call it, as you can see right here, there's this little slot that is for Baku Nano. Obviously, Baku Nano being smaller than Battle Gear means that, you know, not as much space has to be dedicated to it on the design. Ironically, this Bakugan probably could fit it, considering how much room there is back here, but yeah, it is cool, I think, that the Mechtanium Surge designs get to look a little bit more, again, like what I imagine they want to look like. And Razenoid definitely does. I mean, this thing is just tall and insane looking. Like, its face is crazy, like with the open mouth, I love that, and the arms that sort of hang out here. Very cool Bakugan, very, very threatening, very, you know, even when we play with Mechtanium Surge Bakugan, I mean, this thing is deadly. The force with which this pops open, especially at the beginning, it kind of pops forward and then up. You can get some nasty critical KOs with that. Yeah, very cool Bakugan. Alright, back over to Gundalian Invaders. Let's talk about another non-partner Bakugan. We have Fangoid. We have the Darkus and the Aquos version. Bakugan is interesting. It has no feet, and the only manual piece is the horn right up here. Yeah, I really do like the design of this Bakugan. I like the, you know, kind of shield arms, the tall, you know, serpentine-looking head. The only thing that I don't like about it is, again, like Akwimos, it has these tabs that I guess, you know, you can use to help open the Bakugan, but they kind of get in the way when you're trying to roll. And it's funny, because the rest of this Bakugan is actually smooth enough that it rolls pretty well. Yeah, it's also interesting in that it's another one of those Bakugan where you don't really need to manually open anything to get the room you need for battle gear. It's just sort of like that. Yeah, this one is a little broken. As you can see, there's a little chip right there. There's supposed to be a front piece that prevents the horn from going far, but, you know, we can just put it all the way down. For comparison, on the Darkus one, you can see there's that little bar there, so it stops the horn. It wants to focus. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I do like this design. Again, I think it makes the Gundalian Invaders colors work. Yeah. Alright, this is a 12 orders Bakugan that we have both anime accurate and in other attributes. We have Phosphos. This was, I believe, Lena's Bakugan in Gundalian Invaders. I kind of like it like this. It's a very, I guess, simplistic way of opening, and I think that's cool. But of course, that's not the only thing. If you press the button on the back, you can see that all of the heads now pop out, and I think this also looks very cool. Especially with this little bit of silver. I guess this is also a BakuMetalix. Looks cool. I like it a lot. This version of it, does not have a separate G-Power for when you open the heads. Actually, the main G-Power is listed in there. However, I'm just going to leave this here. We also have 2 Haos versions now. With the Haos versions, again, this is the shinier version of the BakuMetalix. You can see it has its main G-Power in there, the 680. And if you pop the heads open, it has an additional 70 G-Power. And these 2 versions in Haos are actually not the same. As you can see, this one is 860. And then the additional G-Power is only 40. Kind of funny, I think in the last video we also had the 2 Haos Lasermans that had different G-Powers but were otherwise the same. Focus. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let me know what you think if you like this in Haos. Honestly, I think it looks pretty good in Haos. I like the red eyes, they're very cool. And the green eyes on Aquos are also very cool. Actually, let me leave Aquos here, because we also have Phosphos' battle gear, Terra Crest. This is the copper version. It looks very cool. I'm just gonna put this guy up here. Yeah, but other than that, pretty much opens all on its own. Or actually, no, there's also a tab back here. Excuse me. Yes, it's just difficult to open, so I'm gonna leave it. But yeah, again, kind of like Akwimos, it sort of has hands, I guess. It is kind of heavy though, the way it like sticks off the back. If you don't put this on a gate card, it tips over. But yeah, I think it's a cool design. It's a little small for battle gear, but honestly, I kind of like that. Looks kind of cool when you put it next to a Bakugan as well. And I like it in copper. Just like Gigarth. Alright, and in much the same vein, we also have Subterra Saboteur and Ventus Hawktor. I really want to like this Bakugan. I think it's a very cool design. I think it's very unique, at least in ball form, for like a Subterra character. You know, it's got that cool, like, I'm assuming it's meant to be a bull, but, you know, just, it looks cool. It looks tough, you know, it's kind of big, but not necessarily in the same way that, like, Wilda or Vulcan is. It looks chunky, you know? Very fitting for a Subterra Bakugan. But, man, this thing just is not made to be played with. You can even see when it's open, it's got these lips down here, and another one under the tail. It's kind of hidden away in there. And then even ones on the side. I'm going to close the Ventus one real quick, actually, just to show you. Look at that. This lip on the front, this one in the back, and even smaller ones on the sides. This Bakugan is really, really difficult to roll. Again, that's just kind of a thing with Gundalian Invaders Bakugan. I guess you could call it like Altobarontes syndrome, which is, you know, funny because Altobarontes syndrome started in New Vestroia. But anyway, yeah, no, this, it's unfortunate. Because again, I do like the design when you actually open it up. Again, it's got that like chunky look that you would expect from like a, you know, tough Subterra kind of Bakugan. But yeah, obviously, as you can see, we have the Ventus one here as well, and again, it has the white on it. I think looks very nice. The ones don't want to open, so I'm just gonna leave it. But yeah, very cool. And the way this Bakugan works, if you want to add its battle gear, is you also open the arms and you kind of spread them out like that. And I'll also open the Ventus one because we actually have two Chompics. the silver one. And if it wants to open, excuse me, the gold one. Both very cool designs. Though I do personally like the silver one a little more. I just tend to like silver as a color a little bit more, but I think it contrasts more with the rest of the battle gear. Hold it up just so you can see it. You got the claws, which are silver, and also this piece at the top. Yeah, this is a cool battle gear. I like the melee weapons, but also like the way it moves is cool. I remember being little and just playing with the battle gear by itself, just making the arms move. It's cool. I like the way it fits onto Saboteur, even if it maybe is a little bit disjointed, like it doesn't necessarily look like it fits its design the same way that maybe Rockhammer might on Gorham, but it is cool. Alright, despite my best efforts, we do not own a Cyborg Helios MK2. However, we do have Zuckinator or Zuckinator. I actually don't know how to pronounce this. I believe Spectra said Zuckinator in the show, which if he did, is very funny. But I quite like this battle gear. It's obviously, just a huge cannon. Again, does not light up. We haven't replaced the batteries. Also, partly because this battle gear is actually broken. I'll show you. If I go to close this gear, it looks fine until I release this. You can see here that the plastic lock piece broke off. I mentioned in the previous video with Juggernaut, I think this is kind of a similar thing where this piece will probably just eventually break, unfortunately. But very cool gear. I like it in gold quite a bit, although I'm sure it looks great in the other colors as well. And I, of course, used to really love this gear because a 200 G-Power boost is quite large for a battle gear. If I recall correctly, there is a discrepancy between the Japanese Gundalian Invaders Bakugan and battle gear. I don't remember which way it goes, but in one region, the Bakugan are stronger, but their battle gear are weaker, and then in the other region, it's the other way. So I don't remember which it is. Someone will correct me in the comments, but I just thought that was very interesting because, again, this is a very strong battle gear with regards to G-Power. Another loose battle gear we have is Lashor. This is another really cool battle gear in my opinion. Again, I love the way it opens. This is the copper version of it. The little piece down here that is supposed to, be the slot for the Bakugan to hook into is, it doesn't want to move from there. This one is fine, but yeah. Still a really cool battle gear. Again, I think it looks very nice in Subterra. The orange suits it. It's also, it's a very tall battle gear, which I think is cool. And yeah, not much else to say besides that. I really like this. A weird but also another favorite from Gundalian Invaders is Quakex Gorham. As you can see, if you wind up the top piece of it, it vibrates when it opens, and just, I don't know, that was always really cool as a kid, like doing that and getting the Bakugan to stand, or not, you wind it up and you miss. But yes, this is a very cool Bakugan. The way it opens is very interesting. It sort of looks like it has these little wings on the back, but you would imagine Quakex Gorham is a very landlocked Bakugan, so also very funny that it's in Ventus. When I was little, I always used to get the name mixed up if this was Quakex Gorham or Quakex Coredem. I could still be getting it mixed up, which would be very, very funny. Someone will correct me in the comments if I'm getting it wrong. But I do like this design. It's also cool that this is another one of those Bakugan which does not have manual pieces. It's also unique in, being a Gundalian Invaders Bakugan that doesn't have battle gear pegs on it. but it is cool. It's very cool. Let's talk about another favorite while we're here. We have Sky and Gaia Dragonoid. This is a really, really weird but really cool gimmick, I think, of 2 Bakugan in 1. I also love the attention to detail on this Bakugan that Gaia Dragonoid, this little half here, is the one that actually, you know, has the magnet in it, and thus is the one that stays on the gate card, and Sky Dragonoid is the one that flies away. Very, very cool, very funny. And I just think, like, they managed to make it work. I don't really know why these are Dragonoids, but, you know, other than that, I think they're just, you know, they're cool designs, and again, the fact that they made it work is just really, really interesting. Oh, excuse me. I kind of wish they did this more, but at the same time, it does make Sky and Gaia Dragonoid very unique. If I recall, these Bakugan were supposed to be new Vestroya releases, but they just didn't happen until Gundalian Invaders. There's several Bakugan like that, actually, but they didn't come out until a later season. But yes, very, very cool, and they each, of course, have their own G-Power. Very nice. Alright, let's talk about another loose battle gear, as we do not have the Bakugan that it goes with. We have Sparta Blaster. This is the silver version, although you can see that there really isn't that much silver on it. It is a very weird and cool design, though. Wait, it just sort of splats open. This is going to sound really weird. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the, what is it called, the ultimate weapon from Pokemon X and Y, kind of the way it opens. I don't really know if that's what they were going for. I think this came out before Pokemon X and Y did, but it's a very, very weird but very cool design. And the way it looks when it's closed, too, I also really like. So you kind of just put all the claws together, and you close it like this. I think this looks very nice. I think this definitely is one of the less, like, techy looking battle gear, and almost looks like some kind of alien thing, but that is also kind of what it looks like when it opens, so that makes sense. Yeah, very, very weird, but very cool battle gear. Alright, let's hop over back to Mechtanium Surge for a second. This, I believe, is the Bakugan we own the most of from Mechtanium Surge. You have Meta Dragonoid. Open them up. As you can see, Meta Dragonoid has a wheel right here that moves, you know, when you go to close it. And it's hard to see, but it actually does have all 6 attributes. So you never know what attribute you're going to be when you use this, even though, you know, this is the Pyrus form. It might not be Pyrus when it opens. And as I said, we have other ones. We have a Haos and an Aquos. Now, the Aquos version of it also has the attribute wheel. However, the Haos version, as you can see, has a G-Power wheel. And its G-Power varies quite a bit. You go anywhere from, I believe it's 650 to over to 950. So 600 to 950, excuse me. Very, very weird Bakugan. Obviously difficult to build a strategy around it when you're battling. However, there were, if I recall, certain cards that support this kind of Bakugan. Again, I think this is Baku Tactics. Someone in the comments, please correct me. His tail is stuck, but very cool Bakugan. Very reminiscent of some of the older Dragonoids. Obviously, it's more upright in the way that its head opens, but it, you know, it kind of has that sort of thick neck, head, all in one piece sort of thing, like the older Dragonoids did, and I like that. Speaking of Bakugan that we own many copies of, let's go back to Gundalian Invaders for a second. Subterra Coredem. Like I said, we do own all of the main Brawlers Bakugan from Gundalian Invaders, except Aranaut in the correct attribute. I'd love to get a Haos Aranaut and complete the set, but we have Subterra Coredem right here, and I think this Bakugan looks very cool, actually. I think it makes good use of these Subterra colors. It is, in my opinion, kind of similar to the Subterra Bakugan that came before it, but on its own, it's a cool enough design. This Subterra Coredem is actually from the Evil Twin set, so we have another Subterra Coredem. This is the Evil Twin version of it. I think this also looks quite cool. You know, it's kind of that dark, chocolatey color. Kind of reminiscent, actually, of some of the old Subterra Bakugan from the first season of the show. And we also have a Darkus version. I think this is an example of a Darkus Bakugan, at least to me, that I think, you know, the colors are fine, but I think this probably would have looked better with the older, like the, you know, Battle Brawlers and New Vestroya Darkus colors. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Yeah, there you go. They look pretty cool all together like that. Just gonna adjust the camera right here so you can see them all. But yes, they are Subterra and Darkus Coredem. Alright, next up we have a non-attribute accurate Bakugan, Avior. We have the Pyrus version here, as you can see. This Bakugan is, again, an unfortunate victim of being kind of difficult to play with. It does, however, look very cool. I do like its design. This Bakugan, if you fold its wings down, can be opened, and it does have another hidden G-Power boost in there for when you're battling on your opponent's gate cards. And I actually do like the way it looks extended, even if it's a little funny with the hole at the top. I do like the long neck Avior. Very cool. And I like the orange on the Pyrus. It's cool. You see it like extend out. Yes, so here's what it looks like kind of just down on a gate card. Very big, very, you know, unfortunately you can't use this to block gate cards because this function only activates in battle, but again, still cool. And to show you kind of what I mean, if you want to fold Avior back up, I guess if I want to fold Avior back up, I don't know what I'm talking about. You close it up. Fortunately, you can kind of see it here with the tail. This Bakugan has all these ridges on it. It's got these little lips sticking out on the sides. It, you know, just has this texture that gives it a lot of friction. You can see there's a front lip here. This Bakugan is just not easy to roll. Again, it's an unfortunate victim of the hard to play with kind of thing. I guess sort of a little bit of Alto Bronte syndrome, but, you know, if you roll it, yeah, it doesn't quite go very far. Other than that, though, like I said, I do enjoy its design when it's opened, and also even in its monster form, I do think it looks cool. And you know what? While we're here, this is going to be the first of many, but let's talk about Mobile Assault. Oh, that was a little bit anticlimactic, but I don't know why it doesn't want to open. Give me 1 second. Alright, yes, there we go. So this Mobile Assault, I actually don't know if this is Impalation or Impalaton, I don't know. This is a very cool Mobile Assault, though. It's definitely less on the technological looking side and more on the natural, you know, alien creature kind of side. But it is very cool. This version of it is Pyrus, of course. And I think it's just cool the way it opens. It's very, very large. Turn it down so you can see here, it's got its wheels. Kind of its, you know, stinger tail on the back. And just, you know, the sort of crustacean legs. Very weird design, I think, for a Mobile Assault, but very memorable, certainly. Alright, speaking of more mobile assaults, let's talk about Axelor. As you can see here, we have the Pyrus version, and also have the Darkus version. I'll leave it closed like this for a second, but this has the, the actual metal claws. Very, again, weird looking. This is almost a little bit more of like tech meets organic, I guess. You've got like the wheels and I would say kind of mechanical looking claws, but then you have an obvious kind of feline face. Very, very strange looking, but a lot of Mobile Assault are. We also have the Darkus version here. I'm just going to put Helix Dragonoid on here to pop him open. Yeah, here we go. I actually think it looks even better in Darkus. I don't know what you all think. I quite like the black, silver, and red. I think that's a very cool combo. Very Darkus. Yeah, leave your thoughts on Axelor in the comments. Yeah, while we're talking Mechtanium Surge, let's talk about Iron Dragonoid. So, we have the Darkus version of it, as you can see here. This Bakugan is very Mechtanium Surge. I don't know how else to say it. It's a very Mechtanium Surge design. It still has that classic Dragonoid thing, but it has kind of a separate headpiece, as you can see here, that moves on its own. This Bakugan is a little bit broken. I don't know if you can quite see it. Maybe not actually, but one of the wings back here is a little bit broken. However, if you know about Iron Dragonoid, you know that you can also extend its neck, and then also extend its head. And that makes it very large and very long-necked, kind of, I guess, in a different way from Avior, but yeah, very weird, funky design, but I like it. Again, the yellow eyes on a Darkus Bakugan is very interesting. And since we've been on a Mechtanium Surge streak, let's also talk about the Bakunano we have. We don't have many, but we do have 2 gold Bombaplodes. Open it up like that. You've kind of got this, I almost used to think it kind of looked like a satellite. This is the same thing, but I'll open it anyway. Yes, I believe these even both have the same G-power. Yes, they do. If the camera would like to focus, it is 80 Gs and 80 Gs. Yes, we have these 2. And we also have a copper sling pike. There you go. I suppose I can model what it looks like on Dragonoid here. You can, I guess, put it whichever way you want. If you want to put it sideways, if you want to put it back, if you want to put it forward. Same thing here with Bombaplode. I would probably put this one... actually, I don't really know how you would put this one. Unfortunately, the wing, it doesn't have like a great slot for this because, it has sort of a larger base. Actually, let me move. But yes, Bakunano are Bakunano. They're definitely not my favorite support piece. Though I will say I might like them more than Battle Gear just because, I don't know, I enjoy that the Bakugan don't necessarily have to have as much space made for them. Although unfortunately, there are some Bakugan like Iron Dragonoid where, it being here on the wing kind of creates this lip and again makes it a little bit more difficult to roll. But yeah, I like the way this looks when it's closed as well, and honestly even kind of same for Bombaplode, even though it's still kind of just a sort of a rectangular prism shape, but look at it from the front, it's got that interesting octagon and the hexagon in the middle. Still looks very techy, which I kind of like. I think it, sort of suits Bakunano. Next, I'd like to talk about two 12 orders Bakugan we have that are actually not in their correct attribute. They're both Aquos. We have Rubinoid and Strike Flyer. Now, Rubinoid is like Avior in that it is considered a Baku exoskin. However, Rubinoid is very smooth. You can see on the back of it. Which actually makes it pretty good at rolling, even though, you know, it has this head ridge, which is on the outside of the Bakugan. Overall, it does still roll very well. And I just think it's kind of, you know, it's a cool design. I quite like the sort of lighter color that they have here. It's not quite gray. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it's a little bit like a lighter, frostier blue color. I think it looks very nice and it kind of suits Rubinoid. Obviously it was Pyrus in the show, but I do think this works quite well. It, you know, lends itself a little bit more into that like crystalline kind of vibe that Rubinoid has. And next to it here we have Strike Flyer, obviously Ventus in the show, but I think it looks pretty cool in Aquos. It's funny, in a weird way, this sort of reminds me of Cyranoid, at least in the way that it opens. You know, where you've got the head in the middle, revealed by the two pieces on each side. You've got the little bottom feet that kind of come out, although Cyranoids come out from the front, not from the back. Then you've got the tail. But I just think this is a cool design overall, and very unique in the fact that to open it up for battle gear, you actually have to close part of it. Close the feet, and then you fold its wings down, and that gives you the room for battle gear. I think it actually looks pretty cool like this too. And if anybody's curious for Rubinoid, it's just a basic wings fold down, and then you have room for battle gear kind of thing. Alright, and hey, since we're talking about Aquos, let's talk about probably my favorite mobile assault, is Hurrix. As you can see by the way it opens, this thing is an absolute tornado. I'm gonna take Rubinoid away here for a second, but yeah, the way it opens is just really, really awesome. It's got these little kind of claw details down here, but this thing, if you're playing with critical KOs, is absolutely a critical KO machine. The force and speed that this thing opens at just destroys enemy Bakugan. And I think it looks very cool when it's opened as well. These little, you know, smaller fins in the middle of these. You know, obviously this is definitely leaning more in the natural, like, weird alien direction for mobile assault, but I think it does it well. Again, just, it's a very cool mobile assault, in my opinion, and very effective if you're playing with critical KOs. Alright, another Bakugan that I really want to like, but it's hard to because of its Alto Bronte syndrome. We have Aquos Tremblar. Now, if you know anything about Tremblar, this Bakugan is a Baku Mine, which means this little switch here and here, if either of these are hit, the top pops off. Yeah, it's a very cool gimmick. I really do like it. It's just that unfortunately, when this Bakugan closes, I mean, you can even see from up here, it's got all four sides of it have lips on it. And even the switches that are used to, you know, pop the, you know, the mine part open, those stick out as well when you try to roll. But let me just put them back together right here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. You know, all of this is sticking out. Now, that said, I do think Tremblar is still really cool. And I think it looks nice both, you know, with the, like, top shell on and when it's been blown off. I just think that, like, one Cyclops eye is really menacing. If you're a Transformers fan, it's very Shockwave. Yeah, very, very menacing. Alright, and let's talk about our Baku Sky Raiders. We only have two, but we have... As you saw there, we have a Pyrus Betatron. I won't open these little flaps up for the sake of this, but we also have a Darkus Coredem. Another cool Baku Sky Raider. Unfortunately, we do not have all three in this set. Sorry to disappoint. But yeah, I quite like these Bakugan, even for as weird as they are. I especially do like Darkus Coredem. Looks very, very sinister, I think. That like silver face with the 3 yellow eyes. Looks very nice. And Betatron right here. I think maybe a little bit more alien looking, perhaps. But very cool nonetheless. I can open these flaps right here. So, obviously, as you saw before, the thing with Baku Sky Raiders is they jump when they open. As figures, I think these are pretty cool. I maybe like Betatron a little bit less. You know, of course, Baku Sky Raiders are very cool. Really, the only complaint I have about them is that, like a lot of other Bakugan from this time period, they kind of have Alto Bronte syndrome. I mean, look at this. This doesn't even look like a sphere when I hold it up like this. How many, you know, things are sticking out on each side. Yeah, it is unfortunate because, like I said, I think the gimmick is very cool. Coredem might be a little better. Let me see. Should start with the feet, right? There's gonna be so many jokes about that. Yeah, Coredem is definitely better. Still has it a little bit in the back here, but yeah, definitely easier to roll. I think it looks quite cool when it's closed too, like the patterns on it. Very nice. Alright, next we have another set, if you want to call it that, another duo of Bakugan. We have Pyrus Ballista, Pyrus Warton. I believe that's how you pronounce these Bakugan's names. Again, I have not seen Mechtanium Surge in a very long time. I'm going to open them up right here. I used to annoy my brother with these Bakugan all the time when we played with our high-powered set because, as you can see, 910Gs and 950Gs, these are very, very strong Bakugan. I quite like them. Ballista especially, I think, looks very cool in this form. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a sea snurpant. Sea Snurpant. Yeah, it's a Sea Snurpant, guys. No, but it might be a Sea Serpent creature. But still looks good in Pyrus, and I don't actually know what Warton is supposed to be. But it is very alien looking, and I do like that. Now, of course, if you know anything about these two Bakugan, these Bakugan combine. So, on here, we're going to open the bottom piece here to reveal another head. Then we're going to take Ballista and flip it over. Actually, I think you close the feet on it. Then you insert right into here. There we go. And we have Volkaos. I quite like this combiner. Again, it looks very alien, but very cool. The like tendrils becoming arms and the feet becoming, I guess maybe more tendrils or horns. I don't know, but it's just very cool. And of course, these kind of becoming the legs. It's very unique looking. It looks like an absolute abomination, and I love that. It's very freaky. Very freaky. Alright, and since I mentioned it before, here's just, another shot of our Gundalian Invaders heroes, again, without Aranaut. Yeah, we're very close to completing this set, and I just like the way these Bakugan look together. And of course, if you want to, we can take Helix Dragonoid out and put in Lumino Dragonoid instead. It also looks quite nice with the rest of the crew. Yeah, that about does it for our Gundalian Invaders and Mechtanium Surge collection. So let us know what your favorites are. If you have any of these Bakugan that you like, how you think they compare to some of the older ones. We'd love to hear from you guys. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, keep on brawling. Psych! We actually have one more thing to show you guys. Or, well, technically more than one thing. We have the Dragonoid Colossus set. So, I'm just gonna set this up real quick. I'm gonna open it. So, for those who don't know, this was an Ultimate Bakugan formation, as it was called, released during Gundalian Invaders. And it's this large, dragon creature, as you can see, that comes...
Hold up! Hold up!
Excuse me, that comes with multiple sets of battle gear, as well as a unique Bakugan. Now, in this case, it comes with a Bakugan called BakuMetalix Dragonoid. Ours is very broken, as you can see. The horns have chipped off, but it still opens and closes nicely, which will help us with this. Yeah, very, very big toy, as you can see. This was a good Christmas. Open up his horns here, and actually there's one more battle gear that you put on after everything else is open. There we go. Let's see if I can turn the camera up here. Just get a nice view of the whole creature. Yeah, this was, this was the big thing from Gundalian Invaders. This and Darkus Colossus, which we did not get, but yeah, very, very big toy, very, very cool. Of course, we loved this when, we were little. It's very played with. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on the two Ultimate Bakugan formations in the comments. And actually, let's show off the individual pieces of this as well. So I'm just gonna kind of move this unit back here. Get a gate card. So, like I said, our BakuMetalix Dragonoid is very, very played with. But if you were to open him up, this is what he looks like. His head is movable, so you can kind of have him. He stands, very upright. You got his hands and his arms, which move. And I don't remember if the toy comes like this initially, but his wings like to just stay down and give room for battle gear. I don't know if they're like that by default or if they've just loosened over the years. If anybody else has this set, you can let me know in the comments. And, as you saw before, we have 4 different battle gear. Actually, let's start from the top and work our way back. First, we have Axator gear. This, belongs on the front. This is technically the silver version, although Let me know, was there actually a version of this toy that had different colored battle gear? Because as far as I'm aware, that was not the case, but this is what it looks like planted on BakuMetalix Dragonoid. Very cool. I actually quite like the way this battle gear the way this battle gear looks on a Bakugan. It's very big. It's kind of like two long arms. I don't actually think that's what they're supposed to be, but it is cool. This is the battle gear itself. Something you'll notice is that on the bottom, it has two sets of holes. Now, these two smaller ones in the front are for planting on Bakugan, and these two larger ones are for the actual, like, big unit over here. Very cool. Put this off to the side. Next, we have Beam Blitzer. Also very, very interesting looking when you actually put it on a Bakugan. It's very tall. Kind of a turret, I would imagine. And as you can see, if I take this here, it's a gold version. Well, it's funny actually, it's still got silver details. They all have the silver detailing, so very interested what made them choose to go with these colors. Yeah, very, very uniquely shaped battle gear. Over here we have Nukix gear, another great name. Shaped like another set of wings. So if I place them here on BakuMetalix Dragonoid, again, I think these look quite nice. It, you know, sort of reminds me of the other Dragonoid battle gear, like, you know, Jetkor, where, you know, they also sort of have that vibe of like being wings or a jetpack or something of that nature. This is also considered a gold gear despite its silver highlights. And yeah, I like how wide this is, kind of similar to Exetor. And last but not least, we have Blasteroid, which is the tail piece of Dragonoid Colossus. Very nice. This one is considered copper, even though again it has the silver highlights. And if we put it on BakuMetalix Dragonoid, it, like Beam Blitzer, ends up being very, very tall. And if you want, you can also turn the tail around. So you kind of have two different versions. You know, do you want it to kind of go forward, which I imagine it would be in this form if it, you know, attacks sort of like almost like a stinger tail, or you have it attached to Dragonoid Colossus. You have it this way, and, you know, on a Bakugan it would sort of go back like this. Here it is again on its own. This one's interesting. It has its G-Power sort of printed and then again misprinted right there. Very nice, very cool. Yeah, like I said, this is definitely something that when I was little, we really liked this toy. But I'm curious what everybody thinks of these. You know, did you like these big Ultimate Formation Bakugan, or was it just a little too much plastic? I think looking back on it now, I would say that it's, you know, cool from the toy perspective. But even when I was young, it always sort of bugged me that you couldn't use these in battle. Like, okay, you know, Maxis Dragonoid and Maxis Helios, kind of a similar thing, but you could use all of the individual pieces. With this, you actually never would use this main big dragon piece in a battle, even if you did use the battle gear or BakuMetalix Dragonoid. So yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate, but you know, it is a cool toy. It's definitely cool from a display piece perspective, though you know, if you've watched this channel, that our favorite Bakugan things, I guess, or memorabilia are the pieces that you can actually play with. But that's just my 2 cents on it. Let me know what you think in the comments, And that'll do it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And for real this time, keep on brawling.